2, 3.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I am outside, and that is because, yes, I am outside because my boyfriend works overnight shifts and he's sleeping. So I don't want to wake him up. So I am outside. But today I'm actually really excited about this video. I'm looking at my laptop over here. That's why, I don't know why I feel like I have to say that, but I got a stool because I didn't want to stand. This is like such a bad setup and it's fine. Okay, so today's video is going to be kind of the start of a series that I want to do. It's going to be pretty much like a travel tip series on like different places. I love to travel and it's been one of my favorite things for a while now, and I feel like I have some helpful tips to some people who also like to travel and they're traveling to these places for the first time, because there are definitely some very important things that I really wish I would have known before going to specific places like in Europe and Asia, and so that's why I'm making this video. So today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, is a video about things I wish I knew before traveling to Japan, or just helpful tips about traveling to Japan. And I'm starting with Japan because that is like one of my favorite places in the world ever. I'm probably gonna have to make a part 2 to this as well because there's a lot of information I want to talk about and I don't think it's going to fit in one video. So I have been to Japan 2 times, and one time in the summer, and then one time the next time was in the spring, or no, yes, okay, it was the spring. So let's just get into the video. Also, I just wanted to say, if you guys are curious about why I went to Japan, what I was doing in Japan, maybe I can make a separate video about that too. I've been a part of a nonprofit organization, a music organization for the past 4 years, where we travel around the world and do music workshops with kids. So if you want to hear more about that, maybe I can make a separate video about that. But I just wanted to say that if you guys were wondering like why I've been to Japan twice. Both times were free, so I'm not someone who is like has all the money in the world to travel, but I have been very fortunate with the group I've been a part of in my college for giving me those opportunities and stuff like that. So if you have more questions about that, you can leave them in the comments below and maybe I can make a video about that. So anyways, with that being said, now let's actually get into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is just the culture in Japan. The culture in Japan is very different from the culture in America. It's really honestly different from any culture anywhere. Their main religion is Shinto or Buddhism. And so when you're walking around Japan, when you're traveling through Japan, you'll find a lot of temples and shrines, and they are super beautiful. Pretty much like anywhere you go in Japan, you'll find a temple or a shrine. And there's a certain etiquette that needs to be shown in these temples and shrines because it is very important to them. Yeah, like for example, you would never walk into a shrine and just start talking really loud or yelling or being disrespectful. It is a very sacred place to them, so, you know, be respectful. I guess that's just what I'm trying to say. And there's different things. There's like little places where there's some water, and there's a what is it called? Like a ritual that you need to do. Like you drink the water with a certain hand and do all this stuff. There's a lot of different kind of rituals like that. And if you don't know like the exact way to do it, I would just say not to do it. But they are very welcoming. And of course you totally can go into a temple. There's literally, oh, that's a dead caterpillar. Anyways, you definitely are welcome in the temples and the shrines. Just be respectful, and if you don't know the etiquette, I would just err on the side of caution when you're going into those places. Other things about their culture, they are super, super kind and super helpful. There is a language barrier, of course, but if you are lost, like in the trains or something, like they will help you. Like they will try their very, very best to help you figure out where you're going and help you with all that kind of stuff. So don't be too afraid of that aspect. Another huge thing in their culture is they respect their elders. So of course, in America, you would like to think that we do that, but it's a whole other level of respect in Japan. So you know how in America, it's kind of like, it is kind of sad, but it's kind of like we fear getting old, and that's kind of like it's not what we want. It's something we're not looking forward to. In Japan, it's not necessarily that they look forward to getting old, but it's something where like they have the utmost respect for the elderly people in Japan, which is honestly, I feel like the way it should be. But anyway, so that's another thing to be aware of, and I'll mention that a little bit later on why that's kind of important. Just some other little things, like if you're going into someone's home, it's common courtesy to take off your shoes. Don't walk on their floor with your shoes on, and if you do have a suitcase, you should pick your suitcase up and not roll it on their floors. And you know, if you're staying in like a hotel or something, it's fine to keep your shoes on, but it depends. Like there are some places like hostels and places like that where they do want you to take your shoes off. You know, just kind of be very aware of that. Oh, another thing that is kind of confusing that I was confused of, and it's probably not that confusing, but I'm just going to talk about it because it's something that's different. So their toilets and their showers. Their toilets are super cool. They're like really high tech, and they have bidets. Is that what they're called? Bidets? I think it's called a bidet, but pretty much where it like shoots water up into your coochie-coo and your hoo-ha, and then it cleans you. And they obviously have toilet paper, but there's all these different buttons, and then it's never usually like a handle to flush the toilet. You have to push a button, which is usually in Japanese. So, and you'll get the hang of it. Like, you're not gonna press a wrong button, so kind of just like. And then also their showers, they usually have shower rooms instead of just like you have the bathroom and the shower. So like so they'll have like a room here with the toilet and the sink and whatever else, cabinets, and then they'll have a whole other room with the shower. And it can be it can be a shower with multiple people, but even if it is an individual shower, it's the shower room. So you can get the whole shower wet. You can get the whole room wet. You just turn on the water and it's just a shower room. And then also sometimes they'll have like a bathtub, and this is pretty important. They're called an onsen, I don't know, something like that. And it'll be like this big bathtub, and a lot of the times it's already filled up with water. And the important thing about these is you're not allowed to get in them unless you have already showered. So you wash your body, you take your shower, and then you get in the bathtub, and it's more of like a relaxing thing than a cleaning thing. You don't want to clean yourself inside these bathtubs because a lot of the times someone has been in there before you and someone will be in there after you. So you want to have clean water. It's pretty much like a glorified hot tub, but it's like in the bathroom, if that makes sense. And sometimes these things you do share them with other people. If you're staying at a hotel or a hostel or a different kind of place, you will share them with other people. And another important side note is in Japan, tattoos aren't really a thing. I mean, they're definitely a thing, but they're not as popular as they are in the US. So this is kind of rare, but it definitely could be a thing if you are staying in like a hostel or a hotel and they do have that shower room with onsen. Some places you aren't allowed to use those facilities if you do have tattoos on your body. So that is something to look into. It's not super common, but it definitely still could be a thing. Okay, that was very long. Okay, let's move on to transportation. So transportation in Japan is so great. They have a very large and very great train system. And if you've ever been to like New York or Chicago or somewhere else where they have trains, it's kind of like that. It's a little different though, because some of the trains are underground, but a lot of them aren't underground. They're just normal trains. And so Those are very, very helpful, but I will tell you, I will warn you, they are very confusing. Me and my boyfriend, the first time we tried to use their train system, we literally got lost. It was like so hot because it's really hot in Japan in the summer, and we were like lost in the train station and like sweating and like we couldn't find our way out of the train station pretty much. Like we were just going in circles and it was like really stressful. But then we ended up just asking one of the people, which we should have done in the first place, and they helped us find our way out, which, like I said again, they are very helpful, so don't be scared to ask them. So yeah, the train stations are very, very nice. They're not like dirty like they are in New York and stuff like that. They're pretty nice. And I would say just do your research. Like, I would give you some advice on how to use the trains, but it's pretty specific to like where you're going to be in Japan. So I would say just the tip is to do your research before you actually go on the trains and where you're going to be and stuff like that. But just some etiquette on the trains. So, okay, the trains in Japan are probably the craziest trains in the world, because when I tell you they will pack you in like sardines, they will pack you in like sardines. Like, so here's the train, and then there's like a line, obviously, to get onto the train before the train comes. So the train comes, they open its doors, and people get off first, and then you guys get on. And there's going to be a point where you don't think you're going to fit on this train. Trust me, you will fit on this train, because like I have been on a train before where I have been physically lifted up to the gods because it has been so tight. Like somehow they will fit a crazy amount of people on these trains. So don't be scared. Like, you just have to be aggressive. And the Japanese people are not aggressive, but when they are getting on those trains, girl, they will get on like their life depends on it. And it does, because I've almost had my hand like ripped off from the train door closing on me and someone yanked me in. But anyways, like, they are so tight and so full, so you just have to be aggressive and just squeeze your way on, because you will fit. Also, it's kind of common courtesy to wear your backpack on the front of your body in Japan. That's probably other places too, but really in Japan, just so that there's more room on the train, you wear your backpack on the front. But little tip, if you don't want people to bump into you, then you should wear your backpack on the back. But I mean, I didn't tell you that. But also they have courtesy, or what's it called? I forget what it's called, but it's pretty much like these chairs that are set aside in the trains for either if you're pregnant, if you're an elderly person, or if you are like a kid or something, I don't know. Or no, sorry, if you've like broken your arm or something, your leg. And those are, and you'll see like there's pictures above of like a pregnant person and like an elderly person. So like, even if you don't know Japanese, that's pretty easy to see. And those are pretty important. Like, you don't want to sit in those seats, because again, with the respect thing of the elderly, those are reserved for those people on the train. So, and of course, like, you will know when you actually get a spot on the train, it is like the best day ever, because like when you get a seat on the train, because that will rarely happen. You will be standing there probably for the majority. And also, that's definitely more towards in the Tokyo area of Japan. Like, if you're going like down south in Japan, it's more of like a normal sitting train where you have like a table in the middle and like booths. But like in the Tokyo area, it's really, really packed and crazy. So, but it's a really fun experience. Like, you have to go on the trains if you're in Japan. They also have bullet trains, which are so smooth. You could like balance a coin. So yeah, I didn't go on one of those, but I don't know, I think that would be pretty fun to do. And there's a big tractor going by. They're just staring at me. I'm just gonna pretend like I'm doing homework. Okay, a little bit more about the trains. Do research, because sometimes you can get like train passes, and then you can just like swipe it and like whatever. Or you can just buy individual train tickets depending on how much you're going to be riding the train. So definitely, if you're going to be riding the trains a lot, it'd be worth it to get one of those like train cards or whatever. And also have a coin purse, because they mainly use coins when you're buying tickets. I mean, this is pretty much for everything, but just have a coin purse. That's really, or just like a place to put coins, because it's less common to have like an actual bill. They use coins. Also, they do have taxis. Taxis is another way, and the taxi drivers are super nice, super helpful, but taxis are more in the places that aren't super, like if you're outside of Tokyo, you're probably going to use taxis more than trains. Along with the money, most places in Japan will take cards, so you don't really have to have too much cash, but it is nice to have the cash, because, well, one, it looks really pretty. Japanese money, Japanese yen, it is yen. It's just fun to have the money. But in other places I've traveled, like Thailand, which I'll do a separate video on, they like no place ever took cards, so I pretty much had to have cash the whole time. But in Japan you don't really have to worry about that. They'll pretty much take card anywhere you go. Temperature in Japan is something else I wanted to talk about. If you are planning on visiting Japan in the summer, it will be very hot. It will be very hot and very humid. Like literally probably one of the most humid places I've ever visited. Like you will be constantly sweating. And it's so humid to the point where they advise elderly people from like visiting and going outside on certain days because it's so hot and humid. Like it's dangerous. But again, like that's not to say you shouldn't visit Japan in the summer, but it will just be prepared. Like it will be very, very hot and humid. So that's in the summer. But they also have like, everyone has like a fan. They have like these like things you put around your neck with fans that go on to you. You know, just be prepared for that. And my favorite time visiting Japan was in the spring because it was super nice weather. It was a little on the cold side, and it does snow in Japan. That's the other thing. If you're gonna go in the spring or the winter, it does snow. It doesn't snow a lot, but it definitely will have the possibility of snowing depending on where you're at. And I have not been to Japan in the fall, but a lot of my friends have been to Japan in the fall, and they say that is like the most beautiful time to visit Japan. So I would suggest going either in the fall or the spring. Oh my god, but I totally forgot to mention, I would actually visit in the spring, like spring almost into summer. I'll have to look up the months. I can't remember. I think it's like around April, because you get to experience sakura, which is the Japanese cherry blossom, which is like a once in a lifetime crazy thing, and that only happens in the spring. So actually, I'm gonna change my mind. I would visit in the spring instead of the fall. And also, if you're gonna visit in the spring, like make sure you know, because they only bloom at a certain time. So know when they're gonna bloom, and if you want to see them, visit then. Last thing about like the weather, I don't know if this is really considered weather, but the environment in Japan is earthquakes. They do experience pretty damaging earthquakes, and I'm sure you've seen it on the news, but there has been really bad earthquakes in Tohoku and other places. So that is definitely something to be aware of. If, like me, I'm from the Midwest and I have never experienced earthquakes and never had like any knowledge on how to like deal with earthquakes, I would definitely do your research on that before you go, just to know, just to be safe. Like what do you do when there's an earthquake? Where do you go? And specifically like in Japan, that kind of stuff. Like I know when we got there, we did an earthquake simulator. So we pretty much got in this like little box, and it like looked like a kitchen, and then there was an earthquake, and we learned what to do if there's an earthquake and stuff like that, because it is really, I mean, they have experience. And hold on, there's another tractor. Anyways, yeah, so definitely do your research on earthquakes if you don't know what to do. Name a couple of these things just right now, and then I think I'll make a separate video on like places to visit in Japan. Actually, I think I'm gonna definitely just make a part 2 on places to visit, because that could be a whole video in itself. And I think I'll make a separate video on food, but just like a little rundown. Like the food is literally amazing, and it can be a little scary, like a little bit overwhelming, because you don't know like what it is. So that's why I think I'm gonna make a full separate video on that, because go in depth with that, because that can be kind of overwhelming. And like candy and food, and of course places to shop. I think that's going to be in part 2, because this video is already probably too long. And of course I might make part 3 with common phrases to use in Japan that will be helpful. You do not need to know the language if you go to Japan, obviously, because like I said, they are very understanding and helpful people. They will help you if you need help. But I do think it is something that is really appreciated in Japan if you know some of the words and the phrases that they use, because I don't know, it's just something that is nice and it's kind of fun. Like why wouldn't you want to know as much as you can about a country to get like the full experience out of going somewhere, you know what I mean? So I think that's where I'm gonna end it for this video, because there's so much more, and if I keep going, I'll just keep going forever. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you also have any more questions for my part 2, you can leave it in the comments below, and hopefully I can answer those in my next video. Yeah, like I said before, I know it is COVID Corona times and no one's going to be traveling anytime soon, but hopefully we will soon see an end to all of this craziness and we will get back to traveling and exploring the world. And even if you don't ever plan on traveling to Japan, maybe this was fun to just learn a little bit more about their culture and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in for part 2 about some other stuff. Yeah, subscribe, like, all the good things, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.